and welcome to the Young Dumb Thrills book tag. Okay, so this is actually an original book tag that I've created based entirely on McFly's new album, Young Dumb Thrills. It came out last week and I highly encourage all of you to go and stream it on Spotify because it is amazing. It's their first album in 10 years and it was unbelievably worth the wait, and what I thought I'd do to celebrate the fact that it's finally come out after 10 years of waiting was to create a book tag to sort of spread the love around the booktube community as well. So let's get into it. The first question is happiness, which is a book that makes you happy. I'm going to say A Blade So Black because quite frankly I read this at the beginning of the year and absolutely fell in love with it. Alice in Wonderland is not usually a book I enjoy. I in fact hated it because I had to study it for school when I was doing my A-levels, and I came out of every lesson complaining about how much I hated that book. And usually I have the same sort of thing with retellings as well, but with A Blade So Black it is absolutely brilliant. I love the characters in this. I felt they were all really relatable. I really loved like all the pop culture references. All the characters in this are amazing. I love the plot twists. I love how Alice has sort of been weaved in with this Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of idea. The writing is so good that when Alice got in trouble with her mum, I felt like I was in trouble with my mum, so that tells you just how good the writing is in this, and it's just generally brilliant and it makes me incredibly happy, and you should all go pick it up because it is amazing. Question number 2 is another Song About Love, which is a book series that keeps on getting better. I have to say the Cosmere for this because while I think Mistborn is my favourite of the series so far, I can't really say that because obviously the Stormlight Archive is still going on and it is epic. I mean, this entire series is epic. You've got so many Easter eggs running the whole way through, and now with the Stormlight Archive it's slowly starting to sort of come together now. The plot twists are incredible, the characters are so relatable in so many ways, the world building is incredible. I cannot even fathom how Brandon Sanderson does it. The man is a genius. The series is genius. I cannot tell you how much I love the series. It is so good. Question number 3 is Youre Not Special, which is an unpopular book that you love. I've got to say A-Force for this because it was cancelled after 3 volumes, which sucks quite frankly because it was such a good series. I love the plot line of it. I love the concept of it, which is basically just an all-female team of Avengers teaming up and trying to save the world and stuff. There was loads of female friendship in this. It was just brilliant, quite frankly. I can't stop talking about A-Force. It was incredible and I cannot believe it got cancelled. I cannot believe it. It was genius. Question number 4 is Head Up, which is a book that cheers you up when you need it. I'm going to say Ironheart for this one by Eve Ewing because I read this and it just made me so happy and it cheered me up a lot when I was reading it. I will say that it does deal with some quite heavy topics in places, so be careful for that, but it was just so good. I loved how nerdy Riri was and how she stood up for herself when she needed to. I love seeing her superhero journey. It was amazing, and also I really loved the conversation she had with one of her friends about the fact that she was making Geordie's visor from Star Trek. I was watching Star Trek Next Generation while reading this comic and it just made me really laugh and it just made me really happy to see it because I'm a bit of a Star Trek nerd, so seeing that sort of collide was just brilliant. Question number 5 is Tonight Is the Night, which is a book about mental health, and quite frankly McFly Unsaid Things, our story has to be in here because this is a lot about mental health in this because all of the boys have had various mental health problems. There's been bipolar disorder, eating disorders not otherwise specified. We've had depression that ended up as with a suicide attempt. You've also got drug addiction, panic attacks, and a whole load of other things, so please be careful going into this book. But this book is also living proof that it does get better, and even though I cried reading this, it does get better in the end, and I feel like that's such a hopeful thing. And it's just also really nice to see men talking about their mental health and talking about bad times and stuff like this, which I think is a conversation that really needs to be had. So yeah, I would say this is definitely a book about mental health and I highly recommend it, but also please be careful going into this because there is quite a bit of triggering content in it. Question number 6 is Young Dumb Thrills, which is a book you loved as a child, Larklight. I can't remember what this is about now further than it's a sci-fi, but as you can probably see by the battered spine and everything else, I read this over and over and over and over and over again as a child. I mean it, I literally would read this book, finish it, then immediately start it back at the beginning again and read it all the way through again. I literally read this about 5 or 6 times in the space of like a month, I think it was. It was amazing. I absolutely loved it as a child, and I'm definitely going to have to reread it because I can't remember a thing about this now, but I definitely remember loving it as a child. Next question is Growing Up, which is a book that is deemed too young for you but you love anyway. Artemis Fowl. I mean, Artemis Fowl is probably a bit too young for me, but I love it. I love seeing Artemis's escapades and everything he gets up to. I love the idea of criminal geniuses and sort of villains as the main characters. I love this series so much. I will admit that the original book, Artemis Fowl, is not my favourite of the series, and it did take me a little while to get into this, but once I was into it, I was fully invested, and I now love this series. Next question is Mad About You, which is a book you've got multiple copies of. The Christmasaurus by Tom Fletcher, who is a member of McFly. Yeah, obviously I've got multiple versions because I've got the original version and also the musical edition. Now, if there's any other editions, I will probably also get these as well because I just love Tom's writing. I love Tom's writing. It's just so him in a way that I can't quite explain. It's just unbelievably him, and I love him as a human being. His songwriting is amazing to the point where he's gotten me reading A, Christmas books, and B, singing along to Christmas songs, and I am a Grinch, so that's got to tell you something. I love Tom's work, and I've got multiple editions of his work. Next question is Sink or Sing, which made me cry the first time I heard it, not gonna lie, and this is about a song that gives you confidence, and I'm gonna say the Xandri series for this because I feel for me Xandri did give me a lot of confidence because Xandri is an autistic girl with a very difficult job and stuff like this, and she coped really well even though things were going on around her that really stressed her out and stuff like this. And it's sort of like that moment of going, no matter how stressed I am, if Xandri can do it, I can do it kind of thing. So it gives me confidence in that sense because I am also an autistic girl, so it just felt really good to sort of see an autistic character getting along and being a badass, and I just feel so confident when I read it. Next question is Like I Can, which is a book you think you love more than anybody else in your opinion. Vicious. I feel like Vicious was written for me. That sounds weird, but I love Morley Grey characters. I love the X-Men, and I love the idea of like supervillains and stuff like this, and that was this book. I love that. I love this book. I'm pretty sure I love it more than anybody else. Next question is Wild and Young, which is a book that was wild from start to finish. House of M. My God, was this wild. It was just so many things happened, so many realities happened, so many people lost powers, so many people just went slightly wild, essentially. It was a wild time. It left me screaming and rushing to get the next one. It was wild, to say the least. And the final question is Not the End, which is a book series you never want to end. Skullduggery Pleasant. I love this series. It's blatantly obvious I love the series. I never wanted to end. Unfortunately, it's going to with book 15 in 2 years' time, and I am in serious denial about this. I really don't want it to end. I just do not want this series to end, but unfortunately it's going to, and that makes me really sad. And that is the end of the book tag. I'm not entirely sure who I'm going to tag yet, but I will leave links down below to who I will tag in the description box, and also if you are a McFly fan, consider yourself tagged. And with that, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up, comment down below with your favourite song of Young Dumb Thrills. I'd love to know. I'll also leave a link down below to all of my social media if you want to check it out, and if you want to see any more of my videos, please click subscribe here, and over here will be the link to my previous video. But until next time guys, stream Young Dumb Thrills, and bye!